Howdy, howdy, and welcome back to Gale FFTCG. I am Serah, your host, and today we are looking at the Opus 23 Lightning Rarity Review. You know it, you love it. We're going to be taking a card from each rarity. That's a legend, a hero, a rare, and a common. And I'm going to be talking about the ones that particularly intrigue me, or that I think you should be looking to pick up early on in the set. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into it. First up, it's my namesake. Our legend this set is so interesting for Lightning. Lightning got some really cool legends, and some guff ones, depending on how you look at it, but this card just immediately strikes me as such an interesting card. So, 4 CP, 8K, category 13, which is very relevant, especially with the Hope that we talked about in the Wind review. This card is just great for so many reasons on that alone. The forward's opponent control lose 2,000 power. So already this is a blanket static effect. Your opponent can't interact with that, and I really like that. If your opponent, or if you control 3 or more category 13 forwards, which is not hard to do, the opponent's forwards lose 5k instead. This is insane. This just warps combat so much. And the effect doesn't look strong, but when you pair this with cards like Lefthea and Phoenix and things like that, this starts to do some crazy numbers. One of the cards that I found particularly interesting with it is 3 CP Salamander. It's like a common that deals 5k across the board and like 7 if you remove stuff. A 5k across the board that potentially kills 7Ks is very strong already, and I mean, if you're running this in a 13 shell, then you're already going to have just that much more. This is really, really good. Also, we have Dispel, which is just a special that during this turn, the power of forwards opponent controls cannot be increased by summons or abilities. This is really cool because you can put this on the stack. If your opponent wants to try and buff their whole board or something, you can just be like, nah, I don't want you to do that. And it seems very niche, but I feel like this will maybe catch out a couple of games. I think this card is just great, and you should definitely try and pick up your copies while you can, because I foresee this being a very potent card in the future. In our hero slot, we have Azul, and Azul is a interesting card, and there is a massive package that came out with this set around Sviets. Go and look it up. It's incredible. I think there's a lot in this, but obviously Sviets mostly being in Ice and Lightning meant I couldn't talk about too much of them, but I'll just leave this here as a little placeholder for you to see kind of what Sviets are leaning towards, and that I think there is some hope in the Sviets, especially because of this card. So 4 CP, 8k, category 7, which can be relevant. When Azul is dealt damage, you choose up to 1 forward opponent controls and deal the same amount of damage. So if they want to kill Azul with any damage-related effects, they're probably going to lose something of their own. I think that's just particularly strong. It's very interesting, I think, as well, because it's any damage. So you could potentially, have a symmetrical board wipe and deal a certain amount of damage to both sides, and then you can kill the upwards thing. You could maybe ping this with some sort of effect. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but this definitely has the makings of being some sort of some sort of Dataluma type of thing. Maybe a fixed Dataluma is a better way of putting it, but I still think there's some merit in that ability in and of itself, and think this is pretty good. It does have a second ability, though. So you can pay a crystal, choose 1 forward, and until end of turn, it gains this forward must attack once per turn if possible, and Azul gains plus 2k. So not only is this a buff for Azul, you can force your opponent to have bad blocks. I think that is just insanely good. So basically, like, there are some cards that you just hold back with, and you just don't attack with them. You don't need to attack with them, right? This card just says, basically, cards that can, must. And being able to control a flow of combat like that is just really important, I think. We've seen this effect on a few other cards, but I think just being able to make something attack, have Azul block that attacker, and then also deal all damage to kill something else is just particularly strong. I think Azul is a very good card, even in like control-based shells where you want your opponent to be doing bad attacks. This can kind of do that, and I think that's cool. I think this card is very self-contained, but also is very powerful in Sviets as well. Up next, in our rare slot, we have 4CP Estinian, and this card can basically be summed up by one word: better. There have been a couple Estinians, both have been legends. This one is just better. It's haste, Scion of the 7th Dawn, 4CP 8k, and when Estinian attacks, you choose a Scion of 7th Dawn forward for your break zone, add it to hand, and damage 3 gains plus 1k. This is a 4CP 9k at damage 3, and it's a Scion. It's a good Scion. It gets you cards back in hand. This can get you Y'shtola specials. There's just a lot of cool implications to this card. It's a simple design, and it does the thing it wants to do very well. And in our common slot, this card seems a little bit underwhelming. It's Jack, 2CP 7k. When it ETBs, we put the top 3 cards of our deck into the break zone. This is going to be very good, I think, in so far as you're running Fujin or Raijin. I think there is a deck that probably wants to play some self-mill in there. And I also think a 2CP 7k Type 0, it's not bad. There's been some Mono Lightning Type 0 for a little while here. So I think I think this card is just fine. And I think in a common slot, it's actually not the worst thing you could probably find. It'll be cheap, it'll be easy to pick up. Pick up your 3 copies. I think they're trying to do some more self-mill stuff. This could be really good in Category 8, especially with Seifer and Adea and things. I think this card is just fine. But yeah, without much more to say on Lightning, we'll just wrap it up there. Let me know in the comments what cards you are excited for in this element, and let me know if there are any decks that you would like me to talk about, any sort of ideas, or yeah, anything that you're kind of excited for. Have a great day and a great rest of your week.